If you like cotton in your clothes, think honeybees, okay? Do you like cheese? Honeybees are needed to pollinate the alfalfa, to feed to the dairy cows, to bring you cheese. Most of us don't get how much of our lives are intertwined with honeybees and pollinators in general.
So for the last 10 years, there's been a very, very striking and alarming loss of bee colonies in the United States and also worldwide.
Each hive is its own little ecosystem, really. There are thousands of different tasks being done by thousands of different bees. One honeybee alone cannot survive by itself.
Honeybees are in many ways the canary in the coal mine. We know so much more about honeybees because there are so many people that keep bees.
Bee colonies were dying or they were absconding, and I felt that humans probably had something to do with that. And so I started investigating it and felt that I wanted to tip the balance in the bees' favor if I could in my own little way. So I started with one hive and it grew from there, and it grew rather rapidly actually. I have approximately 50 bee colonies.
There's a degree where you have no control because the bees will forage 3 miles or more if they have to. And so you have no idea what's in that 3-mile radius. That's like 12,000 acres.
If I could, I would buy 1,000 acres and plunk my hives in the middle of it. Of course, I would not have that chemical exposure.
There clearly are some insecticides that are very toxic to bees, and those need to be looked at very carefully, but that's not the whole story. Contrary to what you may have heard, it can't be the whole story. There are other factors, and their interaction is the real new insight. The so-called 4 Ps: pesticides, parasites, pathogens, and poor nutrition.
90% of all flowering species depend on pollinators for reproduction. And the rest of the world depends on those flowering species for survival. It takes foraging bees visiting 2 million flower blooms to create 1 pound of honey.
Beekeepers are great at replacing their losses and creating, taking 1 colony of bees and making 2 out of 1. But long term, that's not going to be sustainable if the losses are too high. It's generally thought that anything above 15% is not going to be sustainable for the beekeeping industry.
Helping the bees do what they do best. That's really what beekeeping is.